Your government is busy violating your rights once again. They essentially struck down an amendment that would prevent the government and government agencies from being able to look at your web history, your search history without a warrant. Okay? So you had two lawmakers that introduced an amendment saying that this is wild. They got to put a stop to this. It's, unconstitutional. Government agents must request a warrant to look at your search history. And they had a vote, and it didn't pass. It didn't make it through because of one vote. One vote. So let's take a look, shall we? Here's who just voted to let the FBI seize your online search history without a warrant. Lovely, right? 27 Republicans and 10 Democrats voted against the amendment to H.R. 6172, which will reauthorize lapsed surveillance powers under FISA. Oh, lovely FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. The amendment, offered up by Senator Ron Wyden, a Democrat from Oregon, and Senator Steve Daines, Republican from Montana, would have forced the government to get a warrant before obtaining the internet search history of Americans. Okay? Under Section 215 of the Act, the government can compel phone companies and internet service providers to turn over such data if it is deemed vaguely, quote, relevant, unquote, to a terrorism or counter-espionage case. So this is what Senator Wyden said. The typical American may think to themselves, I've got nothing to worry about. I've done nothing wrong. The government has no reason to suspect me of anything. Why should I worry? Unfortunately, the question is not whether you did anything wrong. The question is whether a government agent believes they have the right to look at your web searches. The warrantless collection of Americans' web browsing history offers endless opportunities for abuse. No doubt. No doubt. And yes, Daines, who is the other co-author of this amendment, he said, for far too long, the Patriot Act and the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, commonly referred to as FISA, have been used to trample the civil liberties of American citizens. Isn't it kind of weird that you have 10 Democrats voting for this thing, right? And then a lot of Republicans, 27 Republicans voting for it? Don't the Republicans always claim and profess to be patriotic, right, and defending the Constitution? Why are they so adamant about the Second Amendment, right? They're always so adamant about the Second Amendment, but the rest of the Constitution doesn't hold that much weight in their regard? That doesn't seem very patriotic to me. Why are you cherry picking? I thought all of the Constitution is great. You're a real American, right? You love America, don't you? Don't you love the Constitution? What is wrong with you? Why are you trampling over people's civil liberties? That's not very American of you. Oh, weird. Maybe you're full of shit? No. It couldn't be that, could it? So here's the final vote. 59 ayes and 37 nays. 60 ayes were required for it to pass, and members had to be physically present to vote. One vote was missing. One vote was missing for this amendment to pass so that government agencies would be required to get a warrant first, so that government agencies could be prevented from looking at your search history and your online browsing history without a warrant. Where was Bernie Sanders? Where was he? Right? But he doesn't show up. That doesn't seem very progressive or American or democratic to just forget about this stuff. I don't know. And now, of course, you could say like, oh, why are you picking on Bernie? Well, I don't know. I thought he's the best, right? Like, make your mind up. Which one is it? Why didn't he show up? I'm curious. So, as they said, you had to be physically present. Okay. So what? Yeah, there's Corona. And you're a fucking lawmaker. Wear a hazmat suit. You can afford one. I don't know. I'm serious. Get a fucking hazmat suit. Come in an armored vehicle. Rent one for a day. You have the money. And come and fucking vote. what else do you have to do? Live streams? You really don't. I think this is more important than anything else, you know? But regardless, let's not kid ourselves. I'm not interested in that. Let's not pretend that this actually means anything. Come on, guys. Are you going to really sit there and tell me that the government and these government agencies give a crap whether this amendment passed or not? Even if it passed, they're still going to violate your constitutional rights and the rights of everyone globally. Yes, we are human beings too. We also hold our privacy dear. They don't care. They don't care. Okay? The NSA, all the alphabet people, they've been collecting all of this data, all the phone calls, all the text messages, all the browsing history without a warrant, without any justification, without any legal prerequisite. For almost, what is it? Yeah, for almost 2 decades, right? So you've heard my little history lesson before. Dick Cheney, his lawyer, drafted the mass surveillance order within the first 24 hours of 9/11, and bam, they went right ahead, and they've been doing it ever since. So this wouldn't have made that much difference. Let's not kid ourselves. Let's not kid ourselves. Come on. It's a shame, though. It's still a shame. I still don't think it's an excuse for Bernie Sanders or anyone else, really, to not show up. I mean, what is that? What is that? You're essentially voting against it. I mean, you literally just needed one fucking vote for it to pass. For the people arguing that, oh my God, it's so risky for them to be physically present, are you really going to sit there and tell me that they can't figure out how to vote remotely? Are you serious? We're talking about the US government, okay? Not a fucking primary school in the English countryside. They have ways to figure this shit out. They can do this. Stop making excuses for this bullshit. Here's what I posted on Twitter, okay? So I let people know about this yesterday. The final vote on the Wyden-Daines amendment was 59 to 37. It failed to pass in the US Senate by a single vote. Bernie Sanders, why didn't you show up? So as I summarized for you guys, this amendment would have stopped law enforcement agencies from obtaining Americans' web browsing and search histories without a warrant. Now, honestly, the US is going to spy on everyone regardless. But could progressive lawmakers at least vote like progressives? We're not asking much here. Are we really asking for much? So, The Onion, they posted a funny little headline about this. The updated Patriot Act finally legalizes 80% of current FBI operations. Yes. So like I said, man, they're going to do this regardless. Let's not kid ourselves here. They're going to keep doing this regardless. And it's really unfortunate that despite all of Edward Snowden's revelations, despite all of Glenn Greenwald's amazing work telling the world about this, none of these lawmakers have taken a stance. They've done nothing, right? I mean, for all of the good plans that Bernie Sanders put out on his policy platform, I know Bernie Sanders said that he would not prosecute whistleblowers. I think he's the only person who actually came out and said that, that should be a given, as opposed to, someone like Andrew Yang, who is saying that he wants Julian Assange to come and stand trial in the US. Go and fuck yourself, okay? On top of that, regardless, I wish that Bernie Sanders would have at least put out a plan to curtail, putting it mildly, put a fucking end to mass surveillance, At least give us the, the platitude. At least put up a fucking, a little page. Even if you don't mean it. Could you at least give us a little show? People paid for a show. At least give it to them, man. Come on. I don't think they would even let him talk about that, right? I keep telling you guys, the military-industrial complex, this stuff, the mass surveillance, that goes hand in hand. I don't think they would ever let you touch that. Not Bernie Sanders, not nobody. Like, go, you can keep dreaming. You might get Medicare for all if you're lucky, but you ain't touching that shit. You ain't touching the key to the United States world dominance, their hard power, and their cash cow, the military-industrial complex. You can fucking dream on about that. Anyway, just another display of blatant disregard, of disrespect towards your constitutional rights and the rights of everyone globally. This affects everyone. And I would say acutely, especially people abroad, because what they say usually is that, oh, look, we don't do this to our own citizens. No, we respect the Constitution, and people inside our country, we respect their privacy. But everyone else, they're cattle. If you're not American, of course we can spy on you. We do what we like. No, it's everyone gets the same treatment. Believe me. Okay. If you know your Cold War history, I mean, these are just right off the top of my head, just a few examples. I mean, they put files on everyone, right? And we're just talking about the FBI, right? I haven't even gotten to the NSA, but just the FBI. I mean, they would put files on everyone. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, everyone, right? This overlaps with their counterintelligence programs. So if you say shit they don't like, if you go against American hegemony, against injustices, against the system, yeah, they will put files on you, of course. And they will tap your phones in those days. They didn't have smartphones. They would tap your phone line. They would follow you. And they would try to smear you, character assassinate you. They'll still do that now, of course, but they have much more complex and versatile tools at their disposal. This has been going on for a while, make no mistake. By the way, if you think that Joe Biden is going to do anything about this, I mean, again, dream on. I got a bridge to tell you. That guy was personally calling foreign leaders and tell them, listen, if you accept Ed Snowden's asylum application, there will be consequences. I'm not going to tell you what those consequences are, but there will be consequences. That is what Joe Biden was doing along with John Kerry. Okay? Yeah. So don't expect any mercy from them. No difference between them and Bush and Trump, all the same crew. All the same crew.